Now, political correctness, I'm afraid, is the ideology of these identity politics, right? And it's a series of taboos, and it seems to assume that fragmentation is the only normal state of affairs. It's axiomatic. They do imagine that if you have a united front of working people, that's possible. They call that intersectionality. But the intersectionality is an exception. It's not what should be thought of as a normal way of doing business. And then we have the fetishism of these divisions includes cultural appropriation. So in Oregon, some woman set up a taco stand, and she was Polish or whatever she was, and people came and said, no, you're practicing cultural appropriation. You have no right to sell these tacos. Now, try that with pizza, okay? You're gonna shut down the entire world because all these people are selling pizza and they have no right, right? They're not from the Neapolitan tomato pie company. Now, this is an old issue, and I tell you a little bit about myself in this. In SDS, as it was breaking up in the summer of 1969, the New Left was divided. What do you do about white blue-collar workers? Can they have any validity? Are they radically evil? Are they the spawn of Satan, or whatever they are? The Weathermen, Bernardine Dorn, Bill Ayers, and Rudd, said, no, white workers are racist, militaristic pigs. They are the enemy, in effect. And the goal was race war. That's what these people said. That, I think, was a very extreme form of petty bourgeois suburban ideology. Then there was the Progressive Labor Party, and I see they're out here. There still is a Progressive Labor Party. There was a guy in a suit out here from PL. These were the Maoists, but they were mainly workerists. So the difference was between the Weathermen who wanted to demonize the white worker and the Progressive Labor Party that wanted to idolize them. They wanted to go and talk baseball at the end of the workday. Now, the Labor Committee argument, which I have had the honor and continue to have, is to, on this issue anyway, to advance, that white workers have to be organized and transformed, not idolized, not demonized, and if you don't do that, you may be punished with fascism. So white workers do have legitimate interests and are needed politically. It's not really the case of organizing them separately. That usually leads to bad results. But when Hillary Clinton got up there and went through her litany of groups, she left out, unfortunately, this one, which is the largest one, right? Still, compared to all the others, it's a plurality, at least. So that was bad politics. Now, the Democratic Party is a confederation of these identity politics groups. The national leaders, of course, the candidates, the Pelosi's, the Schumers, are largely influenced by Wall Street financiers. So Soros, Tom Steyer, the environmentalist, they preside over a coalition of women, blacks, Latinos, LGBTQ, environmentalists, trial lawyers are big. There are labor representatives, and if you've ever volunteered for the Democratic Party, the publications they give you and stuff like this is usually done by union, AFL-CIO activists, but they're neglected. So the problem with this is every one of these groups has natural enemies, right? The women want to fight the sexists. The blacks want to fight the racists and the white supremacists and cops who kill people. That's important. Latinos, they're xenophobic politicians. They got to fight them. There are bigots who want to fight the LGBTQ. Environmentalists and so forth, right? Trial lawyers want to keep the tort code the way it is. What gets lost is fighting Wall Street. In other words, the main issue, the issue that actually represents all these other issues, is what falls between the cracks, or the need for economic recovery, a job creation program, full employment, and so forth. So once again, We need mass traction, class-based economic demands. Now, you can ask groups of Democratic consultants, campaign consultants, and you see them. I've seen them at conferences and so forth, and on cable TV. Is it enough to be anti-Trump? Can that carry you to victory in 2018 and 2020? Because I've seen consultants say, yeah, that's all you need. Don't worry. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly right. But now, of course, they'd say, well, now they've seen what he really is, right? Now they've seen that he really means a lot of that stuff. I would say the answer is still no. You need mass traction, class-based economic demands, or you might win with this, but you might lose, and it just makes no sense. It's going to be rough. Now, what is the program? We've heard it once. You can't hear it too many times because everything comes and goes with this. Medicare for all. For all. Free college. New York State may have it. Tennessee has this. Republican Tennessee has free college, at least in community colleges. $15 minimum wage. Okay. Now, the problem with this stuff is always, how do you pay for it? We've heard this before. You can't hear it too many times. Who's paying? Not the gas tax, not the sales tax, not borrowing from China, but the Wall Street sales tax, 1% Wall Street sales tax to pay for this stuff. There's also this question of what Congressman Conyers of Michigan has proposed, 10 million entry-level WPA-style jobs for inner-city unemployed and rural Appalachian unemployed. I always want to call this the Marion Barry program, because Mayor Marion Barry of Washington had this program where every high school kid could get a summer job. He guaranteed it, and he would lean on the employers until they coughed up. $15 minimum wage with a cost of living escalator for inflation. You're going to need the $1.5 trillion from the Fed at 0% to refinance all college debt. Figure out what to do with it later. And at the center of it all, as we've heard, $5 trillion at 0% from the Fed for infrastructure through states, counties, cities, port authorities. As we saw, the American Society of Civil Engineers estimates $4.6 trillion, and these are these 100-year bonds, century bonds. So 30 million new jobs plus 10 million government-funded jobs. This is Fed credit through states and private sector. This is direct government on-budget treasury money, and that gives you 40 million jobs. And again, that's the first time you'd have full employment since 1945. I say that is the interest of everybody, all groups. Whatever else they do or don't do, that's what they have to do. 40 million new jobs. Quite a few of them are productive. Not exactly all, but a lot. Now, the point is, take that program, and this is my call to you, factionalize for this inside and outside the Democratic Party. Social media. Take back the airwaves. Take back the airwaves as you call into Limbaugh, you fool the call screener, you get on the air, and you say something worthwhile, like, why don't we tax Wall Street? Rush. Actually, he's so much with the Trump now, he's called Russia Limbaugh. Intervene at demonstrations. And again, look to the Tax Wall Street Party for program.